Okay, I was muted in OBS. Great start to it. All right, let's try this again. Hello, guys. Welcome. My name is Dragon Drop. This is the Hitbox Elite Cup. It's my great pleasure to be able to bring you this over the next couple of days, 22nd to the 29th of December. And we're gonna have some great Dota for you guys today, as well as, of course, until throughout the entirety of the tournament, starting with Stake versus Fantastic Five and Alternate versus Yellow Submarine today. But we're not going to have some Dota, not going to just have Dota. We also have some great content in between for you guys, including giveaways, all that cool jazz, and this particular panel right here, a little bit of a pre-show. And without further ado, let me introduce my panel guests. Starting in the top left here, we've got a wondrous cow that learned to talk, which is a marvelous science in its own right. He's also a writer and an analyst though, so he'll probably have something interesting to add. It is Gorgon. And right up on top here, we've got a competitive player out from Finland. And if we know something about the north of Europe is that one, it's cold, and two, they bring out some great Dota players. So this is Nota Hacks. And up here on the top right, got Chicago Ted, who is definitely from Chicago, and his name is definitely Ted. He's also a caster and pretty fun to be around. And yeah, he comes up with some funky builds every once in a while that he tortures people in Inazes with. So yeah, well, guys, welcome. Thanks for joining me. And how are you guys doing? Are you all right?
Fine. It's not that cold actually in Finland at the moment, but yeah, not snow actually at all.
Yeah, here too. Normally at the same time though, the last couple of years there hasn't been a lot of snow in Germany either.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
we
can
just
confirm there is no snow over here either, just a whole lot of rain.
Yeah,
Oh,
same
man.
here. So it's just that that climate change.
Yeah.
What can you do, man? What can
El
you do?
Nino, man. Gotta pick him,
The
he's got
El
a super
Niño.
high win rate.
All right, so yeah, we're just gonna talk a little bit about the patch. We have about half an hour, so we're gonna talk about the patch. We're gonna talk about the teams, and about what we can expect this tournament. So, Gorgon, let's start with you. You haven't actually played the patch, as I understand it, because you've been, you've been moving.
I
so...
played a little last night.
Right.
I played like 3 games on 6.86. I played 0 games on 6.86A though. So despite the fact that that I spent literally years being the patch analyst at Join Dota, I completely missed a patch. It's the first patch I've completely missed since like 6.31.
Oh well.
It's okay, all
thanks,
you
Adam.
missed was the Riki shaft, dude.
Uh,
It was awful.
Yeah. Ricky anti-push against Broadmother was something funny.
yeah. But yeah, I do assume you read the patch notes, and so it's a little bit of an interesting view, regardless, not having played whole lot of it. So, no tags. I understand you've been scrimming.
Yeah, not that much since it's Christmas and people have like
Yeah.
business to attend with families and such, but like yeah, we've been playing like 20 to 30 games I think, like yeah, decent amount.
Yeah, nice. So you know what the patch is all about. And Ted, you're normally the guy who comes up with stupid builds that, as I said before, to annoy people with, at least in in-houses, may or may not be viable in competitive play. But yeah, what have you come up with here? Oh,
Well, so far, like, I found, like, all my builds that I was theory crafting are the ones to do. Like, with the release of all these Aghanim Scepters plus the Aether Lens, you've got Ags on literally everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, the Pudge is the most obvious one, but I've been building Ags on the Drow. Not to really good use, but I've still been doing it. Ags on the Shadow Fiend, Ags on everyone that I can get an Ags upgrade on, and I love it. Like, Magnus has got to be my favorite, even though it's a little bit more lackluster than what I was hoping. Giving everyone on your team so much extra damage is like everyone just melts. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun, but so far I haven't come up with anything too left field yet, and it kind of sucks. I really want to be that, front runner for all the interesting stuff, but I'm a little too meta right now, and I don't like it.
well, then again, meta isn't quite figured out just yet anyway. So hey,
Yeah.
maybe there's still a lot of room left to be explored. I believe. I mean, you just got into the patch. We just got 6.68 B, 6.86B as well with some of these heroes we enabled in captain's mode. But yeah, not hacks. So what is the one thing looking at the patch that you feel has had the most impact so far for you?
Well, it's still kind of hard to say because I still think every team is pretty much, I think, are still figuring out the new stuff and which is best. But like, I think at least which took my attention was Vengeful. Like, I think she got buffed a lot. like items wise, and like I think like you can also like she's well I think my personal opinion is she's viable as support now also. So it's like you can pick her and you can run him as a core or you can run him as support. So that's like really good drafting wise, like advantage because people like enemy cannot read like is it gonna be core or is it gonna be support. So that one and well the new item I feel the Aether Lens or whatever is the name, it's increased the range of the spells and damage. I think it's like really strong couple of heroes like Sand King, Vengeful, obviously. Bane, like it feels actually it's good for everyone, and I actually think it's also overrated in a way for some heroes. But yeah, I think that item needs to be figured out. And also the one thing I'm also like, I think the offlaners got buffed a lot, like many of offlaners, like example Batrider, because the side pull and like I mean the big cam on the side, both lanes, and I think people gonna even boost like Tiny again, like side pull on the Dire side on Radiant. You can do it both side now. Even on the Radiant side, it's way harder than the Dire side. But, like these things, and I also think Doom is still strong. Like I'm actually surprised they added all these heroes back to the captain's mod so fast. Like Doom is definitely strong. New Death Prophet is really strong. Also, I feel she's gonna get picked way more now. Like terrain is actually insane, but though she's kind of slow now because the movement speed isn't that strong anymore. Like the Witchcraft gave you bonus movement speed. Other items also now it doesn't anymore. I think so. You're really slow.
Yeah. Yeah, the Doom. I mean, level death got removed, which was one of the more weirdest spells to get used to and just understand. It's a little bit out of the lore, I guess. A little bit out of the theme, but yeah, I've seen some conflicting reports on how good the Infernal Blade actually is. But hey, who knows? Doom is back in Captain's mode now, so might see this in this tournament right now. But yeah, Gorgon, same question for you. I mean, sight unseen, looking at the patch notes, what is the most important thing for you in your view?
I think just the map changes, the physical changes to the field of play seem to be the most impactful for me. So 6.85 was one of, I think it was the only patch so far in Pro Dota 2 history where Dire had a notable, statistically important advantage in terms of winning, right?
Yep.
Despite the fact that we've heard various patches where teams or players would say that the Dire side advantage is too strong or too weak, this was the only one that did not leverage advantage to either Radiant or first pick. There was even a patch before 6.85 where second pick had a statistical advantage, but Dire side had not had that. So the fact that Dire has been buffed pretty significantly, I would say, after the change or after the patch where they were already doing really well, I think is a little strange. I do agree that Vengeful Spirit got quite a few buffs. One of the indirect buffs that she got is because on the Radiant side, the way that the map changes have worked out, she's one of a few heroes that can very easily stack both the Ancient Camp and the new Hard Camp simultaneously with Wave of Terror. It's really easy to do. You can get up to 4 stacks with it. So as an off-lane support, she's really strong on the Radiant side right now, I would assert.
Yep. Yeah, we're talking about Dire getting buffed with the map changes, but is that really the case though? I mean, if you look at the Radiant side, there's been so many paths added, and yeah, I mean, I guess it helps the Radiant side to just move around a little bit quicker through the jungle to maybe intercept Dire side heroes a little bit better that go these kind of paths, but especially that extra ramp towards the ruin, I would imagine that would help the Dire side offlaner, but also the supports on the Radiant side to just go and intercept them on the way to the ruin.
So think of it this way, right? That ramp on the Radiant side jungle, what it effectively does is it adds space between the hard and the medium camp there, and it forces that camp out closer to the off lane for the Dire side. Before, one of the major advantages that Radiant has always had is that it has a streamlined jungle, right? The camps were all much closer together than on the Dire side. There's a very easy farming pattern, and the whole jungle was much easier to protect through the laning phase because you just had to protect that one choke point by the Dire side offlane, and then you had your entire jungle clear. But now you have multiple choke points out by the dire side off lane over the last couple of map patches. And it's more like the dire side safe lane now, where you have one camp that's kind of hanging out right in the edge of the lane. That's very difficult to control. So now you can't farm that camp. Pulling through to that camp is dangerous. You can't stack that camp and defend it as easily. There's just a lot missing for that specific advantage for the Radiant side.
All right, so yeah, Tad, Noda, any more comments on the map changes in particular?
Well, I actually have still like I think also one thing drafting wise what we've been figuring out. There's so many good heroes now. Like I think this patch might be also well I might be wrong also, but I think it's gonna be like the last patch when like every team has their own style basically, and basically like it's all about execution like because there's so many strong heroes. And also then like Chen and Enchantress got buffed a lot since the neutrals got buffed hugely. Like I also think like Chen is well it's celebrating run by fantastic 5x play yesterday against Stark. So I think like mid game timing pushes might come back also in some way. Like Acro Tridents are strong. There's so much things to figure out and yeah, Oracle, Air Spirit, those heroes are definitely strong. Like Oracle is really strong. Like I think it's actually one of the strongest defensive supports at the moment in the game. If you have a right player for it, and the Air Spirit also, well, Air Spirit is Air Spirit. Like not much to talk about that. Like it's still strong, even though he got nerfed. Like in a way you cannot pull allies anymore without Aghanim. I think that was good nerf. Like well, style he's still strong, but yeah, that was good nerf. Something at least, and yeah, not much to add. Like a lot of yeah.
Despite that, actually, Earthspirit had seen more bans than picks since 6.86 started, and that's of course shout out to Lurkaderp who put together a pretty awesome little document here. 6.86 so far with the picks and the bans that have been prevalent. A little bit from that we see carrying over from 6.85, but the Earthspirit ban just seems like people don't want to deal with it all that much. Or Ted, what do you think? I mean,
yeah, I completely agree. Earth Spirit he's Earth Spirit. He does everything. He stuns, he silences, he's got great initiation, great team fight. He's kind of one of those heroes that just the general way that the hero is set up is what makes him strong. So to nerf him any further than where he's at, which is what a lot of people were calling for, would break the hero. I mean, that he's strong because of the way the hero operates. So maybe if you rework his spells a little bit, you'd get somewhere. But I think the niche that he fills is the strong point of his is what makes him OP, and I love it. I like that the hero is that sort of okay. If the other team has bans that we need to prioritize over the Earth Spirit, you have to risk giving it away. So every team needs to learn to play it so that when they do have those respect bans, they can still fall back and say, hey, we've got a strong Earth Spirit player. Let's pick it up and punish them, right? So I love the dynamic that he adds. I do still think that he is very, very strong, but he did see a couple of changes that makes him a little bit more bearable.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of the way Invoker used to be seen, where teams that did not, especially when Invoker was popular, right? Teams that didn't have a strong Invoker player were always playing just a half a step down from teams that did, because he's so versatile. He, especially before he took that series of nerfs, I think in 2014, like he could be picked up and put into several roles. He could be fit into multiple strategies. He could push, he could team fight. And if you weren't able to leverage that against your opponent, you really lost a very significant draft advantage. And I feel like Earth Spirit will probably be one of those heroes because he's also fairly versatile. He can be played as a ganker, he can be played as a mid, he can be played as a roaming support. He can go into team fights very strongly if he builds correctly. He doesn't push all that well, which is one of the things I think that in his hero design keeps him from being overwhelmingly overpowered in team play. But definitely in pubs, I would say, if you're a good Earth Spirit, you have an unreasonable advantage. And I'm not sure, like Chicago Ted was saying, I'm not sure how you would change the hero to keep the spirit of the hero alive, but get rid of that that pub stompy aspect of him.
Yeah.
Spirits of the hero. I see what you did there, man.
I
uh, but yeah.
think you just delete the hero. Like,
Well, that's what I've been calling for when it comes to techies every single time. But yeah,
I actually think there's like at least 15 only Arspirit players who are like 7k. To be honest, like that's how broken hero is. Like if you think like, okay, sure, like if you know some hero well, you will get 7k with it. Like, but if there's like one hero with multiple players and are like getting high rating with it, I think it already tells something about the hero. But like I think the hero has counters also. But like the one thing I actually think why Arspirit is really strong is because he's good in every phase of the game. Like we had a scrim yesterday and we actually had the offlane Airspeed and didn't have a that good start, but like he's still so strong in the late game because like when enemy tried to push out to our high ground, he got agony and blink, and what he did actually, he blinked, he transferred the enemy hard carry to stone, he pushed him back to our fountain. And that's actually so insane. Like you can't push against that, and like then when you have Veils and your ultimate, that damage is insane. Like
oh yeah.
I don't know, like it's just sick.
Yeah, I will say I don't like the stone thing. That is my least favorite part about the hero. I think that was unnecessary because of what you just said. It just takes an already overpowered hero and puts him right up to the next level. It's interesting, but I think maybe they should revert after a certain period of time or just remove it altogether because that shouldn't be able to happen. We've had nerfs, entire bug changes in the past because heroes have been able to be transferred to the fountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, actually,
that fountain hooking comes to mind.
Yeah, like Gorgon mentioned, like Invoker, like he's also really strong in this bench. Like I feel the change he got is like his laning stage is now way stronger than it used to be. Even if you go Guas Vex, you start with Exort and then you go to the Vex, so you get Alacrity. So it's like you outlasted everyone, and well, there's a couple of counters, like people used to run PA when there was the patch when it was like about mid lane and you had like PA getting buffs from Wisp or Trian. Like I think PA is actually really strong still, but still Invoker, the chances are giving him more edge against PA because before it was like, I feel PA had like 70-30 against Invoker, now it's like 60-40 for PA. Like I've been actually doing this because there's so much Invoker pickers in matchmaking. I'm like 6.
I gotta try that.
2k, yeah, it's like because you can die, like Invoker can't do much when you max the Javelin, of course, but after that you max the passive, so you can just dive under tower and well he can tornado you, of course, and EMP, then you're out. Yeah, he can't run. Ghost Hog is the only way to out, but usually if I lose the lane it's because I get ganked, but if it's 1 versus 1, PA wins 100%. And if you get like level 6 you get haste or DD, it's 100% kill if you just have dust or detection. So yeah, PA is like actually pretty decent counter, but still like apart from PA, and PA is still PA, you know, it's kind of late game hero. You can run here as like action hero, you make drums and stuff and you just try get kills and ganks, but it's still like it's just late game. So I feel that Invoker doesn't like Invoker is still so strong, and yeah, I like this patch because like there's so many good heroes and like you usually always get your own picks, if you call it, like you always get your own hero, like if you are a versatile team and they have multiple like hero options to every player, you always will get your own heroes, and that's why I think this patch is nice. But I would just hope actually it doesn't come like I'm scared of timing pushes at the moment because the Chen got buffed and like Wood got buffed and offlaners got buffed, and like I feel it might become like timing push mid game aggro trial and things, but we'll see, time will tell.
Yeah, alright. Moving on from more general patch talk, let's actually look at what we might see in a tournament, because that's one of the earlier tournaments still in 6.86 and also 6.86b with these extra heroes, and it's not like we have bad teams. I mean, we have a pretty good roster of some action-packed CS Dodo, more or less. And if there's one region that likes to experiment in this kind of fast-paced playstyle, with just start fighting as early as you can, it feels like sometimes, then you might actually see a lot of new things being tried out in this particular tournament. But let's actually start by looking at our first teams that are going to play in like 20 minutes. Actually, that's when the match started. It's going to be Stake Gaming, of course, maybe one team with a lot of eyes on them, just because Syndrone's in there, coming back into competitive Dota. They haven't had a lot of games being played. They haven't had played a lot of games just yet. So, but we who have Seal Kid, Fog, Syndrome, of course, Lix, and Era. Those aren't bad players, right? But they are taking on a Fantastic Five, who do have some. Who do have Scandal, Gorets, Miposka, PSM, and Artis. And they PSM, Gork, and Artis, they play together before that as well, and I believe Compass Gaming, which then turned into Hellraisers. So that's also a team that is classic CIS and is also experienced, has way more experience playing together than Stake can be. So yeah, what do you think? How do you guys think that affects the matchup? Ted?
Shall I start? Oh, Ted can start.
All I was gonna say is I think Stake have an incredible amount of solo, skill on their players. I mean, I followed players like Fogged and Era for a while, and they are definitely they have the potential to be incredible players. Haven't seen this team play, and in fact, it looks like they haven't had any actual logged games so far on 6.8, either 6 or 5 or
I think
ever.
didn't they play in Pro Dota Cup?
Yeah, they played recently, but I know I wasn't able to see that. But I actually kind of want to go back and watch the VODs now, or at least watch this upcoming game, because I feel like they have the chance to mesh really well together. Maybe not at the start, but they will go that direction. And they also have Era, who is by far one of my favorite Tiny players in the world. And the fact that Tiny is starting to make a little bit of a resurgence might be Era's big thing. Lifestealer, he's also pretty good on, but I don't think Lifestealer has been in the meta for a long time. But still, he's kind of that classic carry player. Plays all the very basic carries that have been in the game for a long time and can be very strong with them.
Yeah. So yeah, Nota, you're playing with these folks. Did you
Uh,
play with them in particular here, with any of these players?
yeah, I played actually with Synderen 2013, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I played like standing for Fnatic when there was old Fnatic Tricks era. I played standing for like 3 months before I went to Finnish Army because Hanni was traveling in USA, but that was a long time ago. I still think about team. I think they have huge potential. I don't know the mid player. Like I know he played Hon and he was like some guy who had like huge ping in Hon and he still wrecked like people with good ping, like even top players. That's what I was told. But like I don't know. I've been playing matchmaking actually with him. Even like I think 5 games. Even actually we were in the same team, and I have like I think I have a 75 win ratio with him in matchmaking. So that's something. But like yeah, like I think team has a lot of huge potential at least. Like I actually bet on Stick Gaming. I did put my skins and hats on Stick Gaming, but we'll see. Like sadly we haven't been able to scrim against them, even though like they've been scrimming decent amount. That's what I know. But yeah, we'll see. Like, I hope they just ban Jen against Fantastic Five because yesterday, I looked the game, Stark were playing against Fantastic Five. Fantastic Five was basically doing Acro Islands, or not even Acro, like just mid game, and Jen both games, like they just pushed mid game and like had a really good, like a lot of healing, team fight potential, just mid game push, and Stark couldn't handle it. They just got stomped pretty much both games. And yeah, like I think Steak Gaming has a lot of potential, as you mentioned. Like Tiny is still so strong in dispatch, even like you can still run him as even carry without Wisp even. So
Yep.
I think they have huge potential. And Sunderen is playing off lane, if I'm correct, in this team, right? Or is he playing? What role is he playing?
I think so.
Looks
I
like
think in
he's
the,
the third position, so
Yeah,
he
yeah,
played
yeah.
Nightstalk in one of these games that they played, I
Yeah,
believe. So
yeah. I was just about to say like Night Stalker is good, and even if he knows how to play Batrider is really good. Probably will be good fit. Like if they get this plan in, Batrider will be a good pick with those heroes. So yeah, we'll see. But they have potential definitely.
right. Gorgon, do you actually agree with that, or do you think that Syndrome is a little bit rusty?
I have no way of vetting that because I've not played with Synderen. So, right, like I would assume that he would be coming in rusty. He hasn't played competitively in quite some time, but they made this announcement, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that, and
But
I assume that they've been scrimming pretty heartily. So, who knows how
even
they're going to come in?
yeah, sorry for interrupting. Even though Sundara has been playing competitive, he's been actually playing matchmaking a lot, and he's 7K.
Yep.
I don't know if many
Yeah.
people knew. But yeah, like
That's-
even
Didn't he also stand in for Alliance recently and they like stomped with him or
oh yeah,
something?
yeah, he did.
So-
He was playing Undying that game actually. I remember. Yeah.
So what I will say is that playing matchmaking at 7K, solo matchmaking specifically, it's obviously an indicator of skill, but it's an indicator of different types of skills than are necessary for winning in a competitive game. Because communication and coordination are much more important when you're playing against teams that have pre-planned strategies, that have played together hundreds of times, right? That's different than being individually mechanically skilled enough to overcome a laning opponent and then begin to overcome your opponents as a whole when their communication is going to be vastly different from the type of communication that you'll see in a pro game.
Just
Yeah.
to build on that a little bit, though, I mean, yeah, there's a lot to be said about it. I do still think, like, we've had examples in the past, individual skill is becoming something that every player does need to have if you want to
Oh,
have a
yeah,
fighting
for
chance
sure.
against Tier 1 teams, too. So, I mean, not to discount that 7K, I think you do need a really good baseline to be able to compete in today's competitive environment. But, yeah, no, the 7K isn't the automatic pro gamer kind of.
No.
Otherwise, we'd have, like, 500 to 600 to several thousand really good pro gamers in the scene, and we don't. So
Yeah, I would definitely agree. But at the same time, Sinren has been there, right? So it's always worth remembering. A couple of years ago, he was up there playing the biggest tournaments that there are. So it's just, I think at least when it comes to him, and also the others. I mean, it's not like they're strange to competition either. The one issue that we have yet to see whether it comes to bear or not is how well they can play together, as Gorgon said. And,
I'm really curious too about. I've been seeing an increase in players from Europe playing with North American teams and vice versa. As far as I'm aware, Fogged is still living in the U.S. or in North America.
Yeah, I think so.
So is he playing across the Atlantic? Because that ping issue, that's not a huge ping issue if he's somewhere in the Midwest or the East Coast, but it is. I mean, he will be playing at a disadvantage, and I'm curious to see how that impacts his play over the course of this next season.
I just can't
Yeah,
play
that-
touch, I guess.
Yeah, that's
You know,
really
like
good.
half a second of lag makes a difference at the pro
Yeah.
level for sure.
Yep.
100% cannot. Like if you're looking at somebody who has a half a second of reaction delay, that's I mean that's enough that most disables and disjoints the animation time on them will not allow them to be fast enough for you to escape, sort of thing, right? Like anti-mage's blink, phantom lancers, doppelganger, all of those sorts of things. You really take for granted the fact that you can, as fast as you see that you need to move, you can move when you're playing those sorts of heroes specifically.
All right, so just around that particular conversation about Game 1 today out, well, just talk about Fantastic Five a little bit. They've been in the scene for a while. They played together for a little bit too. If I just once again, although shout out to Writing Deja Chelsea, she's been putting together little dossiers here about the team, so that's actually super helpful. And it's going to be continue to be super helpful throughout the entire tournament, I believe. But yeah, Fantastic Five. The current roster has existed since December the 8th, so they haven't had a whole lot of time to play in that particular configuration together either. But they have 10 games together on record in 6.85 and 50% win rate. So question is, can we expect them to beat Stake, or to phrase it the other way around, can we expect Stake to beat Fantastic Five? Yeah, essentially your votes, where you're placing your rares. I mean, Noda, you already said you're placing them on
Yeah.
Stake. You have the confidence in them. But yeah, Gorgon, Ted, what about you?
If I had to make a decision, I would probably lean towards Stake. I feel like those players are more experienced outside of their own individual regions and their own individual play styles, which gives them a diversity that's an advantage, independent of their player skill. I think specifically we see a lot of game knowledge coming into the team as well with guys like Fogged and Cinderin. They've been around for a long time. They've between them, the 5 of them that is, jumped quite a few events over the years, and they've seen a lot of metagame shifts. Whereas, I just don't necessarily know that is true for Fantastic Five. So I don't know either of the teams well enough to be confident in making a hard prediction. But if I had to make a prediction, I would give it the way stake.
Just to interject here, I think I got onto the wrong page earlier and named Yellow Submarine instead of Fantastic Five, their players. But yeah, Fantastic Five right now, actually BZZ, Sedoy, Ghostic, Arzik, and Yol, and of course Sedoy, Yol, BZZ. They played together on Virtus Pro quite a while ago, one of their older
Yeah.
lineups.
They played a lot of CIS Dota.
So Ted, your vote.
Well, I'm kind of gonna go. I'm gonna be the outlier here, just for the sake of being the outlier. If they're gonna play classic aggressive Dota, I think they have a shot at maybe finding some chinks in this brand new formed team of State Gaming and just pushing them out and out aggressing them. I mean, if you have a little bit of miscommunication in your team, there's no way you can deal with heavy YOLO CIS aggressive lineups. And it looks like, coming from where they played or how they played in the previous patch, they went all up in your face. They picked the Tinies, the Queen of Pains, the Tusks, I meant to say the Wyverns. And even though they're not quite as popular nowadays as they were back in the past patch, and maybe not as strong, there are still plenty of options for them to just go for the gold and rush down the enemy very quickly, very efficiently. So I do think they do have a shot. Maybe playing together a bit more cohesively, they will be able to just run them down, take no prisoners, and end a quick game.
All right, so yeah, I mean, I guess now it's my turn to also pick a side, and I don't know. I tend to vote with my heart, and that's normally wrong half the time. That's why I don't bet. But yeah, I believe Stake Gaming can do it, just out of my guts.
I must agree with. Oh, sorry for interrupting.
Yep.
I must agree with that though. Steak might lose just because they're a new team, and Fantastic Five has been around way longer than Steak, but. We'll see. I still feel like Steak has so much potential, just player-wise, to be a good team. But yeah, we'll see.
That's why this tournament is so exciting for me, especially here, just being able to cast these teams, especially there's some that are older, some that are newer. Just see how they adapt to the new patch here and with their particular playstyle that they bring to the game. So. Gonna be some great Dota. But yeah, we have a couple more minutes here. Not gonna hold you up too long, but maybe 3 or 4 minutes. We can take those to discuss the second match of the day, which will be Alternate versus Yellow Submarine. So Team Alternate, we've seen them around actually quite a bit recently. They've been also invited to the defense. Of course, they've kind of been crushed there. But what do you really expect against the likes of OG and Team Liquid?
Who is Team Alternate using as their second support right now? Because this is something that I remember Screen left that team, right? But I never remember hearing about a replacement. I was surprised to hear that Alternate was in this tournament because as far as I'm aware, do they have a fifth player?
Yeah, they've been pretty consistent. I mean, Eldasage, of course, a 4/5 position, but for the most part, they've been using Robert G9, who's also tagged in as a stand-in. But they have 30 games on record as of December 15th or something with him, so it's a very stable roster. And yeah, I personally feel that they can also go a little bit further in this tournament than other people may realize, even though they haven't had the best record in 6.85. We have 15 wins, 27 losses on record here.
I actually think this patch was huge buff to Team Alternate. They used to run Invoker old patch even though he wasn't that popular with Beastmaster, and had global, he made Sunstrike, and they took potential of Sunstrike with Bane, Beastmaster, and pickups a lot. Yep. So I think they probably ran that. I actually know back in the old patch, well, before it started Shadowfen and other stuff started, it was early times. Stark actually were always forced to ban Beastmaster against Alternate because they were really good using it. And I think they shouldn't be underestimated. Those guys being of course they are what they are, but I mean they're still being together a long time, and I think that's a really big thing. Like I still think they have a chance, like easily even have a chance to win this whole tournament. Actually, like I'm gonna call it now. Like
All right.
I think they have a chance to win it. But yeah, it depends how much they've been scrimming because I know they scrim a lot, but like past 1 month I don't know how much. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, I'll hold you to that. So if they do win, then I'm gonna get you back on Skype after the tournament, and then you can praise you or flame at you for being an alternate fan guy, I guess.
No, I'm not. Okay, I just think they have a chance.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, Ted, you haven't said anything. Any thoughts on Yellow Submarine or alternate?
I actually don't have much on either of these two teams. I feel bad. I think I cast an alternate not just the other day, but so quickly do I forget around this time of year. I don't know. I really feel like alternate, they have a strong lineup. Their win-loss kind of gets me a little bit. First of all, because it doesn't really reflect the new patch at all, so I don't have any real relevant new information on them. But
Yeah.
I don't know, their lineup sounds pretty good. They definitely sound like they've got a strong running team. I don't think I've seen much of Yellow Submarine either, so I don't know. I'm going for alternate just based off of the limited knowledge I've got right in front of me.
Yep.
I do think on paper they might be a stronger team, but I don't know. Right now I'm just out in the blue.
Well, they definitely have that consistency going for them. I mean, I said before, Robert G9, 30 games on record with the team, but the others have more than 60 games together. And yeah, I mean, if you look at Yellow Submarine, they also have not so much a better win-loss record either in our stats prep here. 5 wins, 11 losses, even less games, so you could argue less experience since they've been reformed. And yeah, Miposhka and PSM, they've got 40 games together, but then Scandal, Artis, and Gorak only 16, so who knows how that'll affect them. Maybe the communication is not quite as fluid as it could be compared to alternate, but at the same time you have Scandal, you have PSM. Those are some very good players. And Scandal, of course, playing for Power Rangers, Fantastic Five. All teams that have made a splash before, especially Power Rangers. We also have them in the team. In the tournament, not today. I think that'll be the day after tomorrow when they head into when they plunge in. So we'll not talk too much about them, but yeah. But yeah, as you guys said, with 6.86, all bets are off for me. So I don't really want to call anyone just yet. But yeah.
Yeah, like I think any tournament at this point of the patch are kind of open because since it's new patch, any team can win any team pretty much. Actually, like I actually think any team can win. Like even Secret can get wrecked by tier 2 team if they just have figured out something out that Secret haven't and use against it.
Alright, so yeah, it's actually almost 1600 CET, so we're about to get ready for our game. Guys, thank you very much for joining. Any last words, any shoutouts that you want to give? Let's start with Gorgon up top.
Shout out to Spirit Breaker, the most picked hero to have a high win rate, even though he didn't have any changes on 6.86, and he continues to just drill through. So look out for Spirit Breaker picks. That's what I'll say.
17% the dream. Alright, Nota, any shoutouts?
No shout out. Well, shout out to Stark for losing my Arcanes yesterday. That's bad. I actually lost 10 Arcanes yesterday. First I bet against Stark, then I bet for them, and they won first game, they lost the second one. Never bet on Stark.
If you're gonna throw away arcanes, you can just throw them my way.
Yeah.
Alright, speaking of arcanes, I'll get to that in a second, but Ted, first to you, any last shoutouts?
Shout out to bringing me on, dude. It's a lot of fun. It's always fun to be able to chat Dota, especially early in the morning for us United States dwellers.
Alright, so yeah, we're talking about Arcanas, and we're actually going to have a Zeus Arcana giveaway, including of course also the Well Play giveaway for some peripherals. So if you want to check that out, I'll post a link in chat a little bit